everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading podcast. I'm your co-host, Skye.
And I'm your co-host, Susan. How are you today, Skye?
I'm good, Susan. I know we took last week off mostly just because it's been so wonderful being home, but also so crazy. So I'm very appreciative of you for everything you've been doing, especially with DLL and just as a friend the past couple weeks. But I am amazing today because we got to see each other yesterday for
I
the first
know.
time in 10 months.
Yeah. And I realized when I was driving home that we didn't get a picture together. And we never get updated photos together.
Yep.
Ever. But you know what? That also just makes me realize that we were just so present in the moment. We weren't on our phones. It's fine. And we're going to have our real photos taken in 2 weeks.
I
Well,
know,
not
next
this week.
week.
Yes.
Yep,
So
I
it's
know. I
very
thought the
exciting.
same thing, and I've noticed I've had to be. I never want to be the friend that's like, we have to take photos, we have to take photos. But I've noticed that there's been many occasions recently where I've seen people and haven't taken photos, and I'm like, okay, like we really have to be intentional about this, especially
Yeah.
right now. So yeah, I realized that on the way home too, and I was like, you know what, it's fine. We were in the moment, but now when we see each other next week, we're intentionally going to be taking so many photos, so many videos, like all the content, all the memories. So yeah, I feel the exact same way.
I'm
How are
very
you?
excited. I'm good. I realized last week I was feeling very drained. I just like not in a slow, groggy way, but in a way that like socially my batteries were just done. And Chris had asked me to look something up on my phone on like Friday or Saturday. And I was like, I don't want to. Like I have all these text messages. I don't want to respond to anyone. I'm like, I'm not mad at anyone.
Mhm.
I'm just sick of my phone. And I
Yeah.
was like, that, and Chris is like, you're probably just like socially done. Like you just need a break. And I was like, you're right. And I'm very glad that this morning I woke up, I did my routine and I feel very energized. And I chose a theme of the week. I don't usually do that, but my theme this week is organizing, which fits in perfectly with today's episode because we're talking like back to school 101, how to get organized and get your shit together, really.
It's
So
perfect.
and we chose the episode after I had chose my
Mhm.
theme. Like I didn't tell Skye that this was my theme. It just happened.
Everything's always so aligned. And I think you noticed this 2 days ago that the anniversary of us meeting was 5 years ago, 2 days ago, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And we met because it was back to school time. So I think this is
Yep.
all kind of so perfectly in line. And I think if we had had this planner when we were in college, it would have changed so much. It probably would have saved us both so much money too.
It was.
Because I don't know about, I think I was going to say I don't know about you, but I do know about you, and that we both spent so much money and time every single school year trying to find a planner that would work for us and help us stay organized and have everything we wanted in one place. And I
Yeah.
never really found one. I tried, I spent spending so much ridiculous amounts of money on all these planners, and none of them ever worked for me. And I think this year you and I really sat down and we were like, what is it that we love in the planners that we have had, and what is it that we're missing from them? And then we created our own. And like, I know it's our product and obviously we're going to hype it up and we love it, but I will say I never turn to another planner now. Like, I'm never like, oh, I need to write this somewhere else. Like, this really has everything we both want, which
Yeah.
is such a game changer for us.
It stood the test of time when I went into TJ Maxx and I picked up a bunch of like physical planners. So like maybe I do just want one like hard one to bring to work and like keep at work. And I put them all back. And I was like, no, they just don't do it. And I
Mhm.
was like, that shows me that this isn't something that we created and we loved it for a week and then we set it aside. Like this is something that we've been using for months
Yeah,
now. And I think keeping it a secret was like the hardest thing. I
it
remember
was.
talking to you. I was like, I'm doing my morning vlog and I feel like I'm lying
Yep.
because I'm not showing my daily planner, but it just wasn't time to like, we were still testing it and we did
Mhm.
change it a little bit
Yep.
from like the initial one to what it ended up being. And
Yep.
we use it in two different ways, which I also think is cool because I use mine. If you're watching the video of this podcast,
Mhm.
I use mine like this, but
Mhm.
Skye uses hers standing straight up.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can see that it's just a little difference too. And our Etsy shows like vertical version, and we put in the Etsy description like what the difference between the two versions are. And I remember the original rough draft design was the vertical. And then I was like, oh, but we can make this look more like a planner. And we redesigned so that it was horizontal. And immediately I was like, Susan, I hate this. And you were like,
And
no,
I was
I
like,
love
no,
this.
I love it.
So that's the best part about this all being digital is that we can do we can make both versions, and whichever works for you, you can buy. And so
Yeah.
like I would never touch the horizontal one again. Like that did not work for me, but you love it. So it's great.
Yeah.
We're using the same planner. It's all the same features. It's literally just formatted differently.
Yes. And I bring mine to work. So I don't have internet at work, but I can
Mhm.
still use my planner, which is amazing. And I one of someone who is in my office, she's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "This is my planner. Let me tell you all about it." She's like, "This is so cool." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Like
Mhm.
it's a game changer because
Mhm.
it really sets your day up so intentionally. And I love that the first page is like just focusing on you. It's gratitude, affirmations, what you're like, your fluid intake, all the things that like bring you joy on your own. And then the second page is like your hourly schedule and your to do list and your priorities. And it's just a nice, like easy, like you ease into your day and your to do
Yes.
list by setting your intentions first. And
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like it's a chore. And I love that my gratitudes and affirmations, I was kind of concerned when we first did it. I'm like, am I going to get bored of this? Is it going to feel like a chore? And
Mhm.
it never feels like a chore. It just feels so organic and like I love it. I
I
love it.
agree. It's exactly what we were looking for. I think because I there's so many different things that we both like to keep track of throughout the day that aren't necessarily like planner things, like water
Yeah.
intake, but then also more specifically for us, I know arguably my favorite feature of the planner is the current book section, which might
Yes.
sound so silly, but if you're someone that either loves to read or is looking to get back into reading, writing down your book, your current book every single day, and we have it where it shows the title and then it shows the pages read, so pages to new pages read. So that for me is also a great way to hold myself accountable and be like, "Oh, I only read 10 pages yesterday, like let's try for more tomorrow." So I love being able to like keep track of all different aspects of my life instead of just like, okay, what's on my work to-do list for today. And it keeps it fun. It
Yeah.
keeps you wanting to fill out your planner.
And if you follow us on Instagram, you know that we do a daily quote post every
Mhm.
single day. And we have daily quotes in the top of every single day and they change. So like
Mhm.
it's 100 pages and the planner looks the same, but your quote does change every day. And that's just fun because that it always aligns with my day too.
Mhm.
It's kind of freaky, but
It
I
is.
really like that part too because you get some planners and sometimes the like by week they change or the format changes or the color changes and I don't like that. But I like that this is just a little tweak and it's just something that you can look forward to each day. It's like a little gift.
Absolutely. So, like you mentioned, the planner is 100 pages, but I think arguably the best part of the entire planner is that it's undated. So you have the
Mhm.
quote that changes every day, but like if you are doing something where you don't want to have your planner on Tuesday, you could skip it and then just do Monday and come back in on Wednesday. It's undated. You can do it whenever you want. You can do it on weekends. You cannot do it on weekends. I don't think I've ever done it on a weekend just because that doesn't fit into how I like to spend my weekends. But if you did, go right ahead, you know? So it's really up to whatever you want to do. And I know if you look at it on Etsy, the vertical version is technically 200 pages because you're getting a full page for the first page of the planner and the second page versus the horizontal, which is you do zoom it in so it looks like a full page for each page. So confusing. But when you zoom it out, it is technically one page because it's horizontal. So you get 100 pages versus 200 pages, but it's both still only 100 days or only, or however you want to look at it. But yeah, 100 pages and then 100 days. So that's over 3 months. And then if you don't do weekends, it stretches. Like that's a good amount of time.
Yeah. And there are some days that you're just not going to use it. Like I
Yes.
know when I'm filling in for someone at work, I'm not going to use it because I'm too slammed to like write
Mhm.
down what I need to do. I'm just keeping up with my emails. But that's the nice part about it. And if
Mhm.
you so I've actually done it a couple ways. When we first got this, I think we only had a handful of pages to test
Yes.
on. So I was doing it every day and then erasing it. This was
Mhm.
before I was using text. I was like actually writing and
Yeah.
completely beside myself about what my digital handwriting looked like.
Hmm.
But we quickly realized that you don't have to do it that way. So I have done it where I erase it each day,
Hmm.
or I have also done it where I get through my 100 days and then I just go back and I delete.
Yep.
And because I don't need my planner from 3 months ago
Hmm.
today, but it is nice to have, you can look back and be like, okay, this I didn't get done on my to do list yesterday, swipe to the next page and just bring that stuff
Yep.
over, which is nice.
Yep. And you could even, you don't, if you wanted to, you don't even have to delete it. So let's say you go through all 100 days, rename that planner in your Good Notes Notability app to Dream Life Planner from this date to this date. And then you've bought a PDF. You can reuse that PDF a million times. So go
Yeah.
re-download the PDF and now you have your next 100 days. So you can keep all these if you, like, I know for me, I've saved so many of my planners over the years just because it's almost like a digital or a physical scrapbook where you can look back at what you've been doing. So if you're someone like that that likes to keep and be able to keep track of what you've been doing, you can totally just keep re-downloading and using the planner,
Yeah.
which is
It's a
so cool.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And the best part about this, I think, is if you, because there's a lot of people who are like, I will never get rid of my physical planner.
Yeah.
I was you. I understand. Like, I totally get it. You can print this out.
Yes.
You can buy it, print it out, stick it in a binder, and then you still get to enjoy it, which is
Mhm.
really nice. And it's affordable.
Absolutely.
Like, you can, what do we have? It's $5.55.
I believe, yes.
I was spending like $50
Mhm.
on that I never
Easy.
used.
Mhm. Yep. And even like, okay, so this is $5, which like is nothing in the grand scheme of things, but even so, you are not wasting a single page. If you it like I'll be quite honest, with being home, I haven't touched this planner in quite some time. And that
Mhm.
doesn't matter. I'll go back, get back on my routine, and I wouldn't have missed a page. I wouldn't have missed a day. That was the worst thing about some planners where it was like, oh my God, I paid for this planner and now didn't use this day and it was a waste. And then you're like, oh my God, I just lost X amount of money if you do the math, whatever. So this way, it is completely customizable to you.
Yeah.
And I was always just like you. I was always such a paper planner person. I was like, I don't think I'll ever switch. Like, I love the feel of paper, whatever. This makes it so freaking easy. And I think we're all similar, whereas like my to-do list stays somewhat similar day to day. Like there are like tasks that come up, but I would say I have like five to six tasks that I would handwrite every single day, rewrite them because it stays consistent. This makes it so easy because it's digital. I use the cut and paste feature, and I literally
Mhm.
cut and paste those same five to dos day to day to day to day. And it's like, this probably just saved me 10 minutes of not rewriting the same five things that I'm going to do every day. And it also makes it so I never forget. Because if I go back and look, I just copy paste all the same things instead of, oh, I missed one and then I didn't do this. Because I'm the type of person, if I don't write it down, it's not going to happen. So that's
Yeah.
also a huge thing about this. And we did, I believe there are 18 lines on the to-do list part. It was really important to us to have a huge to-do list because I think that's the worst with some planners is like you get 5 or 6 lines and it's like this is not realistic. So we really
Yeah.
tried to make this like actually work for not only us but for people, literally everyone, I think.
Yeah. I found that having the hour by hour schedule, which I wasn't expecting to use. I remember you put it in there and I was like, oh, that's probably going to work for her. I'm not going to use it. And it actually makes me get more done because I feel so like whatever I like, let's say I have a meeting at 10, put that in there at the start of my day. And then at like the turn of every hour, I go through and I put in what I got done.
Mhm.
And it made me quickly realize that like what would have been like a 15-minute scroll sesh could often turn into like an hour and a half.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't want to write down that I was just scrolling on TikTok
Mhm.
in my planner because that's not who I want to be.
Yep.
And so that made me be much more intentional about my time. And then it also feels a little bit like a competition. Like, what can I get
Yes,
next hour so I can like fill up my line,
for
which I
sure.
that part of it too.
I completely agree. It's the whole like time blocking. And if you see that you have
Mhm.
like meeting at this time, appointment at this time, it's like, oh, you actually do have an hour here where maybe you wouldn't be able to see it if you weren't like physically seeing it. And
Yeah.
so I love that. And I love what you pointed out about putting things down that you have already done. I will give my father credit for this, but his phrase is the to did list, which is
Yeah.
arguably more important than the to do list. Because if you are doing something and you don't write it down, did it even happen? You have to give
Yeah.
yourself credit for everything you do. So I am also a big fan of the to did list. But I think this was really important to me having the hourly section. But my big issue with every planner I've ever seen is that it's usually at most it's a 12-hour block. So you're gonna get probably
Yeah.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And for me, that is so unrealistic because I do so much after 7 p.m. Like sometimes, especially being in Italy, my work meetings don't start until 6 p.m. and with Nick's
Yeah.
hockey schedule, or if you want to write down that you're having dinner with a friend, that's probably not going to happen until at least 7 p.m. So it was so important for us to make sure we included time in the afternoon and night. So our planner goes from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I know I had a lot of friends reach out about the planner, and the number one thing everyone said was how cool it was to have the extra hours on the hourly layout. So that was like a must-have feature for me with this one.
And we had talked about, because my
Mhm.
morning starts so early. I start my morning at 4. You were like, should we do like an early bird one that starts at 4 a.m.? And I was like, my routine is so grounded that I'm not going to be sitting there recounting, what I did. And I think that's the goal of a morning routine, to not be dependent
Yeah.
on something like that. Like from 7 to 10, that's a whole different ball game
Yeah,
than like
yeah.
early morning.
Mhm.
Not to say, like, if you do have a list or something that you use for your early morning routine,
Yes.
all the credit to you.
Mhm.
It just didn't work for me. And that's
Right.
why we did talk about that, and
Mhm.
we spent a lot of back and forth
Yes.
going, is it worth it? Because you were going to put it in for me. And I was like, I'm not going to use it.
Yep.
Like, and so
Yeah.
we were really intentional about literally every aspect about this,
Mhm.
from the colors to the fonts
Mhm.
to how it was designed. Like, arguably the most amount of time went into this product.
Yes, and we wanted to make sure that nothing was gonna go unused. I think I've had
Yeah.
planners where I'm like, "Oh, that's a cool feature," but I don't use it, and with this
Mm-hmm.
one, I find that every single little bubble is not only used, but it's also very helpful. So, do you wanna kinda I know we've talked about different parts of it, but should we both together kinda go through and say like, "Oh, this is how I use this," and just kinda start
Yeah.
from the beginning? Just I think if
Yeah.
you're on the fence about I mean, again, it is a $5 planner, so if you're willing, you know what? If you're willing to give us a try, we do have a little $1 um like daily
There
page,
you
which
go.
is you're not getting all of the features of the planner, but it does give you an idea of what digital planning is like. So if you're on the fence about digital planning, I would recommend checking that one out
Yeah.
at least. So we wanted to start with the whole every single day starts with my dream life is loading. And I think that just seemed so obvious to us. And we didn't realize until after it was like, that's actually pretty cute. Like it just seemed like it's exactly what it should be. And it's like, obviously, it's very on brand for DLL, but it's also a perfect little reminder every single day. Like if you're taking the time to do this, your dream life
Yeah.
is literally loading. Like you're in the process of making it happen. Um,
Yep.
and then the today is so do you write out the whole date or do you just put the date?
I write August. Like today, I wrote August 28th,
Yep.
comma 23, because that's how I would do it on paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it has like, unless my journal has like the slashes for the numbers,
Mhm,
I always write out the date.
mhm.
I've been
Yep,
like that since elementary school, I think.
same. Yep. Um, and then we have our gratitudes and our affirmations section. These, I notice my gratitudes change day to day depending on like what's on my mind when I first wake up. But my affirmations, for me at least, I've noticed it goes in like 2 month circuits, like where I'll stick with the same one for a couple months and then be like, okay, like I feel like I've embodied that now, and then I move on. So I kind of like I am intentional about rewriting those and not doing the copy paste from day to day because I think it is really important for the affirmations to really sink in by writing. But again, that's a personal choice.
That's interesting. Mine are never the same. Mine is always
Interesting.
what I feel I'm trying to call in, or what I need
Hmm.
more of. So, like, if I find that this is the most helpful on the days where I'm having like a rougher morning. Like,
Hmm.
I go to the gym and I'm not feeling great about myself. That is the part of the planner that will shift my entire day, because it's like, I am
Yep.
this. And a lot of times it's the opposite of what I'm feeling. And it just automatically makes me feel better. And then my gratitude, it is whatever I feel around me in that moment.
Yep. I totally agree with that. I think the cool thing about having this separated on 2 pages is most of the time I do our first page, which has, so like we said, it has date, water. Oh, we didn't talk about the water, but it starts with water intake, gratitudes, affirmations, current book, active self care, which we'll talk about, today's movement, and today's meals. I'll usually fill that out first thing in the morning, and then I'll either get started on a project, go to the gym, make breakfast, some sort of like movement activity, and then come back and fill out the second page, which is where you like really get into your traditional planner aspect. So I like being able to separate, like you said, like really set your day up for success and then dive in later.
Yeah, that's huge, because
Mhm.
it really lets you just be like yourself, and
Yes.
you aren't a to-do list, and your productivity doesn't measure your success. And I feel like this planner really divides the two. And it's like, you can be successful on page one, just focusing on you and like catering and nurturing to what you need. And then once you've poured into your cup, go over to your to-do list. Because most of the time, like if you're working or you're in school, your to-do list isn't even for you. It's for your professors or your education or your boss, like you're doing things that other people are going to, grade or correct or look at. And only you are going to look at page one because that's what you need. And I really like that it's set up in that order.
Yep. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about the act of self-care bubble, because I think
I
this was
love this one.
but I do think this was our biggest risk. I think this is the one where this could go blank if you don't, if you don't know how to use it, because it's your planner, you can use it however you want, but if you don't have examples and inspiration on how this can be used.
Yeah. And this one also made me very intentional because I
Yes.
realized that for me, I always thought sitting down and reading was an act of self-care,
Hmm.
which it was, but now that I'm like addicted to it, it is really more so just a habit.
Hmm.
And so I have had to actually like seek out self-care because really all these other things, everything on this first page is self-care:
Yes.
gratitude, affirmation, water, reading, movement, food. That's all self-care. So
Hmm.
having to find something more specific than that, it's making you find more time for yourself, which I loved. And at first I was resistant. I was like, I think I don't know which one
You
of us
did.
questioned first. I
Yeah,
was like,
I think
I
you
don't know
did.
if I like that. Or
Hmm.
I didn't want it to be what did I call it? A space saver or something like that. I was
Yes.
like, I feel like you're just taking up space. Like, are we actually going to use that?
Hmm.
And that is actually my favorite one because it challenges me the most.
Yep. I totally agree with that. I think, and the other thing about the active self care and the movement section, these could be bigger things. Like for me, even though I do try and read every night, sometimes the active self care is stopping my project work 15, 30 minutes early and reading. That is like now I'm taking this intentional time to go read, and that's my active self care. Whereas sometimes it might be like, wear a cute pajama set to bed. Like something like,
Yeah.
it could be something if you don't have the time, there's still, I think it proves that no matter how short you feel like you are on time, you can always find ways to care for yourself. And this little bubble makes you intentional about that. And then the today's movement for both of us, I think this is usually going to the gym or an exercise class, something like that. But my mom actually pointed out, she was like, I love that it says today's movement because it doesn't make me feel bad if I don't get to the gym. It's like, that's the whole point of this is you never want to look at your planner and be like, oh man, I didn't like, you don't want to have guilt when you're looking at your own planner. Like, this is for you. This is literally to help you succeed and nothing short of that. So if today's movement is walking to the mailbox, that's going to be quite all right. Like it doesn't say like today's workout and then there's sections for like every body part you hit that day. Like it's today's movement and that can be any form of movement for you. Again, like you're not proving this to anyone. It's for you. So I like that it says today's movement and I've noticed it too where it's like today was a more of a lazy day, but that's quite all right.
And that's what for today's movement that has always made me feel encouraged to
Mhm.
rest and stretch. And
Yeah.
I'm so guilty of not stretching, which I really should because of how active I am. And then my muscles hurt, and I'm like, why am I so sore? And it's
Yeah.
because I wasn't taking care of myself. So a lot of times I'll interchange between self care and today's movement. And then
Yep.
while Chris and I are watching TV, I will stretch. And then I can put that in my today's movement and not feel like I did anything less than I should have. And
Yep.
that's been huge.
Yep.
Yeah, I really loved your choice of words for this one.
Yeah. And then today's meals, this was something that I haven't had it in all the planners I've used in the past, but it's something I always find a way to add in, whether it's like I use the notes section for today's meals. But for someone that cooks 90% of the dinners for like Nick and I love being able to meal plan. And then I think I'm someone that's not good about breakfast. So this is really helpful for me too, where it's like if the B section is empty, I'm like, okay, tomorrow, like we have to do better. And then so this one, like this was again a no brainer for me, but I love being able to see and plan and just like have it there. So like if you do forget or if you want to make sure you eat a certain leftover for lunch or whatever it may be, you can mark it all down, which I love.
I'm using this one differently this week and I want to try
Mm.
something new. I'm meal planning,
Mhm.
not prepping, because I found when we meal prep, we get really sick of it really fast. So
Yep.
I'm like, I'm getting to the point in my culinary career in this house that I can prep like individual meals at night and like just cook it.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. So I went in and I filled in for the next 5 planner days what we're having for dinner. And I'm very excited about that. That's already set up. I know what I'll need. And it's like just having it in the back of my mind first thing in the morning is very exciting.
I love that. I think the best part, we've said that so many times, but another great feature or thought about this planner is that this is a daily planner and you're getting 2 pages for each day and that's it. There is no monthly setup again because we wanted to see how this went, honestly. Like as a small business, we wanted to see how this one went out and then we want room to grow. And I think with a next planner, if we did a planner that has like your whole week at a glance and your whole month at a glance, things like that, the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about that is having your weekly meals included in your planner. So you could
Yeah.
flip and it would say like, okay, this is the week of fill in, and then you have your week at a glance, your meals at a glance, and we can really dive in and make these like so jam packed with everything. So you can kind of like see what this planner is and then just imagine what we can do with it and like add on and just make it even more useful.
Yeah, because I was actually thinking that when I was planning my meals for the week, I was like, okay, I'm choosing the meals, and then I was like, what do I need for ingredients? And it would be
Yeah.
so nice to just have a place where you can make, okay, I want to eat X, Y, and Z. I need all of this and have it all in one spot. And the nice thing is that this is on my iPad and my laptop and my phone. So I
Yeah.
can access it anywhere and I can just like if I needed something from the grocery store that I put on that list, it's already on my phone. It's not like I
Yep.
need to make a whole nother list.
So a product idea I've had for months is like I'll help you meal plan because it's something I got really into back in like March, I guess. And I wanted to create a product that was like here, like basically exactly what you're saying. And it would be like a whole bundle of like your grocery list and your shop and like all the different things. So maybe that's
Yeah.
something that we should prioritize a little bit. But should we jump into our wrap up, all our end of episode stuff?
Yes. We actually skipped our question because we were very excited about this episode, and I think our segue was flawless. So, our question of the week is, who would play you in a movie about your life?
Ooh. I
Do you
mean, if I got to pick, I think it would be Blake Lively because I think she's always been like, I mean, she was Serena, and she for me, it's always like if Blake Lively's in it, like I have to see it, and I so admire not only like her as an actress, but her as like a person and a wife and a mother, and her relationship with Taylor Swift is really, really, really special to me. So I would say if I could pick, my dream would be Blake Lively.
Yes, I could. That's who I would have picked for you too. If my actress would have to be Lindsay Lohan. Like
Yes.
I would. We need to make a side by side of me and Lindsay as children
Mhm.
because we look so much alike when we were younger. And my childhood best friend's dad called me Lindsay for like forever. Because
Oh.
he thought that I looked like Lindsay Lohan. So that is who would have to play me. And I was even looking because I was picturing like when I first saw the question, I was picturing what's her name from Sweet Magnolias.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
was picturing her,
Mhm.
and then onto I didn't know what her name was, so I was looking it up, and then like a current picture of Lindsay Lohan came up, and I'm like, oh no, like it has to be
Gotta
Lindsay.
be
There's
Lindsay. Yep. I wouldn't have guessed I would not have picked Lindsay for you because I think she's off my radar just because we haven't seen her in stuff
yeah,
as recently, but you're totally right. That's exactly who it should be.
yes,
Our favorites?
our favorites.
I'll start with my physical favorite. So I have obviously I only have a very small amount of clothes in Italy, and I was telling Susan this yesterday that I basically packed nothing coming home clothes-wise because I was like, let me use all the stuff I have at home. So my favorite this week is all my pajama sets that I have at my house that for some reason I thought I wouldn't want in Italy, and I will be packing up all of them to bring back because I am loving. I'm literally in one right now. This is a little set. It makes me feel so put together. It's so nice getting out of the shower and putting on my matching set. So, pajama sets or just matching sets in general is definitely my favorite of the week.
I love that. My physical favorite is my Yeti cup. I
Yes.
um had ordered it while I was under the influence of alcohol, and
It's
I kind of
fine.
forgot
Those
that
are some of the best purchases, Susan.
Yes, I kind of forgot about it, and then I got a notification that it had shipped, and I was like, "Oh, what is this?" I was like, "Oh my god, it's my customized Yeti." So, fun fact, my husband is obsessed with Yetis. Like, the man has an addiction. He has the like this size but without the handles in almost every single color that they have. And the man has a gazillion coolers of different sizes and varieties. Like, we're set. We'll show up with a Yeti no matter what the occasion is. Um So I had wanted a Stanley Cup because I wanted the handle.
Yep.
And like, not in this house. Like, that's a betrayal. Like, we can't be having that. And so drunk me took that as an okay to get myself a Yeti with a handle. And I love this color. So it all worked out. And I'm glad that sober Susan got a gift.
Yes.
And I'm obsessed. I've been drinking so much more water, and it has a hard straw, which just been encouraging.
It's perfect. I love it. And I love that it says Ash, which I think is very special.
Yes. Embrace the last
yes.
name.
My mantra of the week, I saw this morning on Pinterest, and it had, if you can see the photo, it's got these like pretty daisies, or I guess this is Instagram, but whatever. These pretty daisies or sunflowers around it. And it says, your progress still counts even if it's only visible to you. And I literally was saying this to Susan this morning. I was like, I haven't journaled in so long. Like, I feel so off my routine. And it's like, you pointed this out to me, and then I saw this quote, and I was like, this all goes so perfectly in line, where it's like, even if, like, we put so little of our lives on social media and public for other people when you think about it. So if you're so, which I get in my head with this too, or if you're so worried about making sure that people know you're doing something, or making sure people know you're succeeding in your career, or X, Y, and Z, it's like, it actually doesn't matter what other people think, because the progress is still happening internally. So I needed that reminder for myself this morning, especially with being on this quote unquote vacation, being here at home, where it was like, I'm still doing things, I'm still making progress in my life, even though I'm in a different routine and a different like setup right now. So that's my mantra of the week.
I like that. Mine, and I know I've definitely said this before, but I'm just reiterating it for myself, is don't take advice from people don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from.
Yep.
And it's not like I haven't even had a pertinent experience where that has come up, but it's just been in the back of my mind lately. And I think a lot of stuff, especially with dream life loading, like, some people just don't get it. And some people really close to you just don't understand it, which is totally fine. And because they don't understand it, sometimes it can come off as like, well, why are you wasting your time doing that? Not that they would say that, but that's sometimes how the reaction feels. And it's like, they don't understand it. So that's not their fault. And I'm not going to take offense to something that they don't understand. Because the people who get it, get it. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And like, those are the people you want in your life. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be instances where you have people in your life that just naturally either don't understand it or don't want to understand it. And you still have them in your life no matter what, because that's the situation that it is. But at the end of the day, like, you don't have to be living your life for them or their understanding. And that's something, as a people pleaser or a former people pleaser, is very hard to understand. But that's my mantra for the week.
It's a great lesson. And it's one that you can continue to like you said, like, reteach yourself, remind yourself.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think that's it.
Yes, it is.
Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe and leave a review.
See you next time.